Welcome back, everyone. How are we all doing this Sunday? And Sunday is to be known as the day of streaming here on KBS. Yes, I know it's like only 1 hour to go on Sunday in the UK, but I thought I'm going to have my coffee, I'm going to kick back, I'm going to chill out, got a little bit of woo, a little bit of space news, a little bit of Men in Black, and then I switch gears entirely and we go back to Studio A, yes, on the main channel from 5 minutes to midnight, in other words, midnight in the UK, and that'll be 7 p.m. on the East Coast and 4 p.m. on the West Coast, Warrior Mode with Bill Bean. And I would say in recent weeks on the Kev Baker Show, we've been really taking a deep dive into holographic universe, Mandela effects, timelines. And Bill, of course, he's somebody that keeps his eye on all of that kind of stuff. He was a recent speaker, I think it was earlier on this year, at a Mandela Effects conference. And well, Bill has found more, and he's going to be coming on to talk about that. And of course, everything else going on in the world right now. Faith, strength, and courage with Bill Bean, Warrior Mode, midnight. So just over an hour from now on the main channel. Now, Jimmy was going to be here with me, but something came up, so he had to pull out, but he'll be back tomorrow or during the week. Big shout out to Jimmy. I know he was streaming earlier on. A lot of you were over there. And I know that in the chat room right now, you know, we've got, it seems like an overabundance of blue wrenches. And that's because I'm just trying to catch up all the people that had a wrench on the main channel over onto this channel. So, it'll take time, and it's going to take time to build this up. But much like we had when we had the members-only streams over on the big channel, I quite like this whole compact and beigeu thing going on. I do. It's nice and quiet. It's nice and cozy. It gives it more of that one-on-one feel, and I like a bit of that. So I see in the chat room we've got ZX, Polly, Sam, John, Queen Goddess, Algo. Love it when Algo phones in, and Polly as well. That was a great call the other night. I love it when all of you phone in. Really good. We've got Tiffany in there, Jason, aka First Paranormal. We might try and take a look at what he's been doing on his channel as well, because he's been putting together some really good woo videos over there. See, I've been keeping my eye on you, Jason. I know everyone thinks I skive all the time. I know. But really, finger on the pulse. Mannerus. Yes, will you get your other channel back too? My other channel is there. The Kev Baker Show channel's there. It's just that they don't have the memberships open at the moment. They don't have the super chats. And I'm having to be very, very well behaved until I go through the reapply process. So, yes. So, will we get it back? Fingers crossed. Hopefully we will. But we'll roll on regardless. And I want to thank all of you out there that have stepped up and supported the show via PayPal, Patreon. You don't know how far that goes to literally keeping the lights on here. It really, really does. So thank you all so, so much. So then, I see Billy in the chat room as well. Can't forget to give Billy a shout out. She has to put up with my nonsense now and again when I'm stressing out over there on Facebook and I see her little green light on. I go and I unload all of my problems onto poor Billy. So, yes, I have to be a good boy, Billy. That's right. And, of course, Justa. It's great to see Just Be Happy back in the chat. I don't know, it's almost as if the opening of this new channel, bringing back Justa as well, it's given it a whole new kind of, how would you put it? It's put the bounce back in the KBS step. Yes, indeed. I don't know, I'm quite liking it. Everything changes. And it's how you adapt to these changes when they come along. That's the main thing. You know, you can take it as a kick in the balls and not get up from it. Or you can take it as a kick in the backside and double down and get doing more. And that's what we're going to do on here. So space news. And just a guy today, he sent me a video. I think it's George Norrie's TV show on Gaia. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Something Beyond. And it was an interview, or it is an interview with Marshall Masters. Now, I've had Marshall Masters on the show maybe 2 or 3 times over the years. And Marshall is somebody that talks about Planet X, Nibiru, Wormwood, call it what you will. And then there's been a lot of talk in recent times, I've noticed on the show and in alternative media on the whole. And more importantly, you people out there have been kind of picking up on something bigger coming along. Some people say it's a feeling of something impending. It's just, it's nagging away at them. And I know we've got something big enough going on right now, right? But, something more. And we've had talk about Comet Atlas. Now, that, as far as I know, it is breaking up and it's not going to be quite the big event that some were making it out to be. And that's okay, that happens. Dang, I done it with Elenin. Big time. I went all in on Comet Elenin. I thought that was going to be ELE, extinction level event. Oh yeah, I've been there. So don't think I'm criticizing people when you go down these rabbit holes. I ain't. I've just been there. I've got the t-shirts. In fact, I've got too many of these t-shirts. The Comet Atlas is gone, but then Comet Swan comes along. I think it's called Comet Swan. And it does feel, I must admit, honestly, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, but it does feel as if there's a whole lot more junk and debris flying about out there, right? And is it just a coincidence then that at this time we have the creation of the 6th arm of the US military? I think it's the 6th branch anyway. If I'm wrong, I stand corrected. But the Space Force, right? We've had some good laugh with talking about the Space Force in the past and whether they're going to be taking on little green men and stuff like that. Well, I've got some news about the Space Force, and they're now actually, now that they've been formed, they've got money, they're now looking for people to actually start transferring in to the Space Force. Now, this isn't the main news I've got to you, or I've got for you about the Space Force today, but this was one that I came up with just when I was looking around to see what they've been up to. And it says, Space Force is about to start collecting applications from airmen looking to transfer. And when I read that, it makes me think of Gary McKinnon. Now, Gary McKinnon was a Scottish guy. He's got Asperger's, and he was the dude that didn't break into any US government computer. Can you call it breaking in when the password was password? Can you really call it hacking? I don't think so. But he talked about the transfer of terrestrial and non-terrestrial officers. Now, before you get way excited, I'm not talking about extraterrestrials as in like EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about non-terrestrial personnel, people that were already working off-world. Now, McKinnon's seen that back in the 90s, I would think, or early 2000s. And the US government wanted to give him like 80 years, up to 80 years at one point. He got out of that, but it always kind of sat in my mind, why is it they went after him so hard? What was it they were so scared that he's seen? Or perhaps it was just egg on their face. They got really embarrassed by the fact that one of the world's leading superpowers, no, the superpower, their computer system got hacked by a guy in Scotland with nothing more than a dial-up modem connection, okay? Maybe that's what caused them to go after him so hard. But what if I was to tell you, we now know what the Space Force's first weapon is going to be. And no, it's not phasers that are for the little green men. Of course not. It's to take out communications, folks. Yes, here we go. It says here, this is Mysterious Universe. We'll rattle through this. I've got a story on the Men in Black and the Hat Men that we'll get into. And then Bill Bean's coming along, right? So it says Russia becoming more suspicious as the Space Force unveils its first weapon.
How dare you?
Greta, before you say it, I never, it's not me unveiling no weapon. My weapon's well kept away. It's the US Space Force, all right? So it says expeditionary, deployable, reversible offensive space control, effects applicable across the full spectrum of conflict. Now, being an ex-soldier, I can tell you This reads exactly like military language, okay? It's nonsensical, but let me go on. It says it prevents adversary satellite communications in area of responsibility, including command and control, early warning, and propaganda, and hosts rapid reaction capabilities in response to urgent needs. So basically, what we're talking about is communications killing satellite. But that's the best way to boil it down, folks, okay? It says, as reported in Popular Mechanics, the US Space Force speak for its first weapon, the Counter Communications System, Block 10.2, a jammer that effectively cuts the electronic cord between ground troops and the satellites they use to communicate with their generals, allies, and each other. And this is much more effective than know trying to know out the transmitter on the ground, or must be knock out the transmitter on the ground, or the satellite in space. And the latest generation of these jammers covers a greater frequency spectrum than ever before. And needless to say, Russia is not pleased. It says, we also have a lot of questions. We asked them quite a long time ago and want to have an answer after all. Fully fledged, meaningful Russian US dialogue on a wide spectrum of issues of space activities, security, Russian and US senior diplomats agreed on January 16 will help resolve mutual concerns. So, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova told TASS that her government is not pleased. Oh no, they are much pissed with what it perceives to be a first step towards an arms race in space. And that there, folks, is for me what it's all about. It's all about, as Dr. Carol Rosen said in her infamous speech, the weaponization of space. But this is nothing new, and the weaponization of space has been going on for some time. We heard about the Chinese who had a killer satellite up there at one point as well that could take out other satellites. It makes you wonder just what's up there. But again, if I was to go back to the Wu, and if you look at the work of somebody like Marshall Masters, if you call on the research of somebody like John Moore, now he's got his own radio show on Republic Broadcasting Network, but I always remember listening to John Moore, and he was the guy that brought up the map of the US that the Navy have. And I'll just pull up your future map of US. Here we go. And if we look at this here, this is allegedly, I say allegedly, folks, a map of how the US is going to look after the upcoming Cataclysm, or the alleged upcoming Cataclysm, okay, whenever it happens. But this is said to have been shown to US Navy personnel back in the 70s. They say that the research, the story goes, that they've known for a long time that there's going to be a Planet X, a cosmic event, if we can put it just like that. That's more general. That is going to cause great changes on the planet. And I do wonder at times if that's partly what the Space Force has an eye on. Even if they weren't created to do that, if NASA were to turn around in the next month or so and say, we found a near-Earth object and it's heading right for the keyhole. Now, the keyhole it's huge when you're talking about this, right? Because that's the area of space that something has to pass through. And once it passes through that area of space, there's no getting back from it. It means it's on a direct course. It's going to go right into us, okay? And it's that area of space, that keyhole. So if something like that was happening, if they seen something coming from there, who would they task to try and, avert that? In my mind, and I'm no genius, maybe I'm wrong, but surely now that would go to the Space Force, right? Right? So I don't know, maybe there is an aspect of that. Maybe it is kind of tied to the Wu. Maybe they know about other entities that are on their way. I know that's too woo-woo for some people, but I am the Kev Baker Show. And that is certainly the kind of places where I like to go to. But there's other space news headlines out there. Just take a quick look at what they're saying about them. This was quite interesting to me because we've got a lot of friends down in Australia, and you think of the Space Force. Well, why am I even bringing up Australia? And of course, you've got the Americans and the Australians. They've got Pine Gap, that super secret, sneaky beaky kind of joint NSA ASIO operation out there in I think it's near Uluru. Actually, I could be wrong there, but they're also going to be using an Australian telescope as well. So the US Air Force deploying surveillance telescope in Australia. So the telescope was designed to track and identify debris and satellite more than 22,000 miles above Earth. So this is going to be going on down in Western Australia. And the telescope, designed to track and identify debris and satellites more than 22,000 miles above the Earth, was deployed a decade ago by the MIT Lincoln Laboratory with funding from, you guessed it, DARPA. Now, between 2011 and 2017, the telescope was tested at the Atom site on White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, and DARPA handed over the telescope to the US Air Force in 2017. And again, if I was going full woo and wrapping myself in tinfoil, are they really looking for debris, or are they possibly looking for something coming in that you can only see from the southern hemisphere? Because that's like one of these kind of lines that the kind of points of the Nibiru story, if you want to call it that. I've always heard you would see it first down in the southern hemisphere because they're looking at a different part of the sky. I mean, I get it. I get why you would see it first down there. Is that why they're looking at putting in a telescope down in Australia? Are they really looking at the debris around the planet from the southern hemisphere, or are they maybe looking for something else? Something bigger, dare I say it, something woo. Now, talking of woo, I'm going to have a drink of coffee, and all this talk like this, I might get a visit from the Men in Black. Or is it the Hat Man? Or are they the same? And I'll be coming into the chat room. I want your thoughts. Is it Nibiru? Is it Planet Woo? Is it nothing to see here? Is it liaisons with little green men? Are they having blue chicken barbecue? What's the Space Force all about? You tell me, folks. I'll be right back. Thank you, ZX. Yeah, ZX, he just saved that character from getting kicked. Good man. Okay, I'm here. So what are we saying then? Somebody's ordering sweet and sour chicken. Oh, Greg, you had to. Oh, BBS is talking about footage of UFOs. Nice. We've also got... Lee Roar says the Space Force needs a lot more seamen. Yes, sailors. Algorithm, sailors. They do a lot of work in pools, I heard. Yes, indeedy. We also have Algo. Interesting. Now, when Algo was 23, he had a dream about the Pacific Ocean swallowing up much of western US. Saw that map years later. Woo. Mannerous.
Here is my membership plus a tip, LOL, smiley face, PPP.
Oh, Mannerous. And I'll give a tip out for you. My tip of the day. Never eat yellow snow. Never eat yellow snow. There you go. Mannerous, thank you so much, brother. Let's go down. Let's see what they're saying. Party here at the Zilverado Ranch. I'm on my way. Yes, indeed. Sam, why exactly do we need a Space Force when I thought the secret one existed already? Very good point. Very good point. Ben? Yes, the man, the myth, the accent. It's me. Yes, indeedy. So then, with that out of the way, and with me looking at the clock, I need to get back into the Hat Man. We have got a Hat Man story. Hang on now. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I was trying to post my I was trying to post like a link to the show coming up with Bill Bean, and it didn't work. What is that all about? Give me 2 seconds, folks. There we go, I'm back. I am back. See, just like that. Dang, dude. Now then, let's see what else we've got going on in the world here. And oh, thank you very much, Queen Goddess. Yes, indeedy. So we had one more story from the Space Force, right? And it was a bit weird. I've only going to go over the headline real quickly here. But it says, Iran's military satellite is a tumbling webcam in space, says the Space Force commander. So yeah, of course that had to go all weird. It says the first satellite launched into space by Iran last week that revealed the country's secret military space program is nothing but a tumbling webcam in space, the head of the US military's news service said on Saturday. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said on Wednesday it put up a Noor, or a light satellite, into low orbit, circling the Earth after using a mobile launcher at a new launch site. That fills me full of confidence, you know. The Iranians, or anyone who really doesn't have much of a track record in space programs, you know, just willy-nilly, just launching things into low Earth orbit. Nothing can go wrong there. But when you talk about things like that, that's when you get a visit from the men in black. Yes, indeed. So, Mysterious Universe, you know it. I know it. I always go, well, obviously, I know it. I always go there, right? And today, look at this Men in Black and the Hat Man. Is it one and the same or not? So, you've got stories about the traditional, the stereotypical Men in Black, right? Now, we've talked about how weird and wonderful and the variety of kind of nuances that appear in that whole genre. But then you got something different that you call the Hat Man. And I get why there can be a bit of ambiguity there, a bit of confusion. The lines blur. Both are hat men. Although, you know, maybe we should call them hat people in a world of wokeness. Yes, the paranormal world must get woke as well. It's my I'm gonna make it my thing. That's going to be my plight in life, to make the paranormal world woke. Yes, indeed. So then, it says here, in relation to the title of this article, the whole thing is steeped in controversy. Are the Men in Black and the Hat Man one and the same? Well, before we get to the matter of the question, let us first take a look at the two mysteries. We'll begin with the Hat Man. Basically, it's a human looking entity, very often seen as a shadow, that dresses in black and wears an old style fedora hat. Now, I don't want people mistaking that with George Galloway. George Galloway kind of resembles the Hat Man, but George Galloway is no paranormal Wookiee. He is a legend. So, if you haven't checked out the Mother of All Talk shows here on YouTube, please do so. Great show. It says then, we'll begin with the Hat Man. So we've done that. Dresses in a black and wears an old fedora hat. Heidi Hollis, an acknowledged expert on the Hat Man controversy, says, quote, victims worldwide have reported seeing this man peering into their homes, their bedrooms, their cribs, their cars, their lives, and even into their souls. It starts with the feeling of not being alone, only to look to the foot of your bed and find that you were right. There's a stranger in your room, and you know that you know that you see him. Worst of all, you know that he sees you too. You try to scream or run, only to find that you're paralyzed. Terror then reaches new levels as he approaches you, leans within inches of your face, and lets you know that he is indeed your worst nightmare. Now, as for the Men in Black, the phenomenon largely began in the early 1950s, and it was when a UFO researcher named Albert Bender, and he wasn't, I'm assured he wasn't, of Bridgeport, Connecticut, received a chilling visit from the Men in Black, who warned him to quit ufology, or else. Now, Bender's MIB were not the Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith type, however, and rather they were pale-faced ghouls with shining eyes. They communicated by telepathy and plunged Bender into a state of hysteria, ill health, paranoia, and terror. And just like the Hat Man, they typically surfaced at night and wore fedoras. So it's easy to understand why some of the researchers of these enigmas suspect that there might be a connection. Admittedly, though, even with all of the data on file, it's tough to say for sure. And personally, I think there is a link, even if we don't fully understand what the connection might be. On the other hand, though, some have suggested that there just aren't enough parallels to make a conclusive link. A few years ago, author Jason Offutt wrote an excellent paper for me on his research into the Men in Black and the Hat Man. It appears in my 2015 book, Men in Black, Personal Stories and Eerie Adventures. Now, in part, Jason wrote in his article, a dark figure lurks in the shadows, watching. Something about him is out of place. The Humphrey Bogart suit? The dark, obscured features? Or maybe, we got a message. Oh, thank you very, very much, GG. That was GG there, and we had Homer. I always go to call him Bart. I suppose Bart in a few years will look like Homer, right? Anyway, Anyway, getting back to it, and thank you so much, Gigi. But it says here, in part, Jason wrote, a dark figure lurks in the shadows. We got that, but or maybe it's the hat. Not a baseball cap, not a driving cap, but a fedora. Now, this figure looks like it stepped out of a 1940s detective magazine. Then it raises a hand or takes a step. Its movement's awkward, exaggerated. Something is wrong with this man. Dangerously wrong. And this description of a man in an out-of-date suit wearing an out-of-date hat is common in paranormal field, stretching across the line of the UFO-fixated men in black and the darker, more shadowy Hat Man. And I must admit, when it comes to the Hat Man, I see them as definitely more nefarious. Like it said, they're a darker type entity. Whereas I do think when it's really hard for me to put a description on the men in black, because some of them are almost, it's like they're here as observers, right? It's like they turn up at paranormal type events, UFO sightings, things that are going on, and they're here to document what happened. Now, I've got a weird look on my face because I've got no idea how to explain that. I can't quite put my finger on what's going on there. Does that make sense? Probably not. But you know what I'm like, so it says Jason continued. Given the reports, the men in black and the Hat Man are likely related only in casual appearance. The dark suit, the fedora, the awkward movements. But when men in black talk, the Hat Man is silent. Men in black appear within the norm of humanity, if not slightly pale, waxy, and thin, and the Hat Man appears two-dimensional, showing no features, just a deep black silhouette. Men in black are reported to appear at the doorstep of UFO witnesses, and the Hat Man appears to anyone at any time. These entities have similarities, but if they're related, it's only by their great taste in hats. And whatever the answer to this creepy riddle, it's likely that the MIB, yes, the Men in Black, and the Hat Man will continue to terrorize people in the dead of night. Yes, indeed. Now, first paranormal in the chat room, my good friend Jason. He says, Hat Man and Slender Man freak me out because I saw a shadow dude when I was young. Ah, Jason, I seen one of those shadow dudes. I caught like a side-on peripheral out the side of my eye view, something in the toilet, you know. Thought it was my son, wondering why on earth's name he hadn't closed the door to do the toilet. Shouted at him to close the door, only he replied to me from his bedroom in a different location in the house. And that's when I got Bill Bean on the case. Said, Bill, I need help here, man. And yeah, Bill Bean, he's going to be here with me half an hour from now. So I'm going to hang out with you great people in the chat room. Yes, indeed. But we've got another super chat coming in. Thank you so much.
Putting the unity back in community. KBS'ers provides we decide minds collide. PPP.
Absolutely. Absolutely, folks. And you see, you don't know how much this all means. It's hard. It's very humbling at the best of times, but with everything that's gone on with the main channel now, and I know everyone's in the same boat, that's why I've not made a big song and a dance about it. That's why I've not tried to kind of bait people over to this channel with the memberships. I'm not even turning them on. But, I mean, even this stream today, that goes a long way to helping make up for what we've kind of lost out on the main channel. Can't thank you all enough, honestly. But I'm going to come into the chat room. I'm going to find out what people are saying. I'm going to put on the tunes, let it catch up. There's a bit of a delay, so I'm going to look more for Hat Man stories. I already see them in there. First paranormal says to me, mine walked across the room and looked over my face in bed. Whoa. Now that is your very typical Hat Man, Shadow Man type story. Just in the room, only you there, paralyzed. Oh. Lewis is saying he would either shoot them with a bow and arrow, I like your style, or allow them to kidnap you. Oh no, man, don't do that. You don't want that. That man is very Freddy Krueger, like, oh dude, Freddy Krueger. Dang, you gotta be a certain age to remember you're Freddy, right? These young whippersnappers today. I mean, how can they say they've lived when they've not had the joys of Nightmare on Elm Street? What a bloody franchise that was. I used to love all that. Do you like that one, Anne? Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street. The best one was when his tongue came out the phone. You liked that bit, right? That was a good bit. Oh, scary movies. Big time. Queen Goddess, who is very clued up on these matters. Love to hear what she's got to say. She says, all I said was if he showed himself to my son and scared him, I would have to do a banishing ritual. Wow. And we've got first Jason again. Funny thing is, I'm staying at my mum's in an old room where it happened. Oh. And the other week when I was working on my tunnels video, something pulled my hood and it strangled me. Get the heck out of here, dude. You kidding me on? Holy heck, man. Holy heck, dude, that's pretty heavy. No, I'm not getting the shoe today. Not yet, Ben. Not yet. I hope, anyway. Let's go and take a quick look over at... let me get it up here. Over at... Now, I'm going to put this in the chat room again. There you go, folks. That's for Bill Bean. That's starting in half an hour. I'm going to go. I'm going to take a look for our friend. There he is. That's better. Up at the top. I like it, dude. I like it. The Witch of Vixen Tor. Oh, we don't have time. Do we have time? I'll tell you what we'll do, right? We're going to watch the first part of this. And then you're all to go and watch that before the Bill Bean show. That will get you all in the mood for Bill Bean, right? So we'll watch a little bit of this. And then, yeah, let's have a look. Ooh, it's that scary music. Dude. Gonna drop a link for this in the chat room. An algorithm, the owner of the video, who's in the chat room. I'm not playing all of it. I'm not stealing his content. I'm showcasing it so we can hopefully get some people over there. Get some people sub to this channel. Come on, folks. Let's get him to 500. Come on. There we go.
The Tor is situated between Tavistock and Princetown on Dartmoor. It is also called the Sphinx of Dartmoor. Vixen Tor became a place of ill omen and foreboding in the lifetime of Vixiana, who had a terrifying reputation. According to tradition, at her bidding, creatures from the underworld had hollowed out a cave which ran underneath the Tor. There, on bleak and wild Dartmoor, she lived in that cave alone.
Oh, look at that thing. Right, I nearly shat myself there, Jason. Not good. Not good.
She was ugly and so old that the local people could only ever remember her as being old, even when they were children. She just got older and older, uglier and uglier, and more evil as the years passed by. Indeed, she was a terrible sight. She was tall standing, about 6 feet tall and very bony and thin. She had long, lank, black hair that hung down around her knees. Her face was long and thin, and the sallow skin was drawn tight over her bones. Her nose was long, thin and hooked, and she had penetrating eyes of deep moss green. Vixiana never washed herself or her clothes, and so a terrible smell clung all around her. She only had 2 front teeth in her mouth. Both were yellow and rotten, and protruded over her lower lip. She was bent and walked in a stooped fashion, with the aid of a knobbly gorse stick. Her temperament...
Now, Jason, when you say she was bent, does that, like, mean... right.
was like her appearance, very, very evil. Vixiana hated everything and everybody, and to be fair, everything and everybody hated her. She would carry out random acts of malice when out walking across the moors, such as thrashing sheep with her stick that were too slow to get out of her way. One of her greatest joys was to find and smash the eggs of moorland birds, such as the harmless skylark, laughing and cackling with glee as she crushed them underfoot. At sunset, it was her hobby to climb to the top of the tree and sit on the summit, just watching the ending of the day and spying out victims. Her keen green eyes would survey the moor around for travellers. She also kept watch on the track from Chagford, which ran across the moor to Tavistock, and ran near the bottom of the Tor.
How did I know Tavistock would be in there? But folks, I want you all to check this out. I've been saying this since hang on, why am I not subscribed? It's the backup channel. You've just got a new subscriber, Jace. There you go, my good man. Yeah, I've been following Jason since he started up here, and I tell you what, folks, I'm gonna put a link to his channel in again. Go and show him some love. I like what he's doing. I really like it. I think he's got one of those voices. You've got one of those voices, dude, that you could be like one of the voiceovers on the History Channel or one of these kind of like ghosty shows. I like how you do it, man. I like your style. But folks, I'm going to be switching gear in just a moment. I'm going to be co-hosting Bill Bean on his show Warrior Mode, which I host over on the main Kev Baker Show channel. So we're going to be talking about what Bill's been up to in the past week, what he's come across, as in changes in the Bible. And I've seen somebody in the chat room asking, is he a Catholic? Is he a Protestant? No, Bill's just a man of God. He has his relationship with the big man. And that's what I kind of like about Bill. You know, he's the kind of, how do I want to put this? What's the best way? I think if I had met somebody like Bill when I was going to Sunday school, I probably would have kept an interest in all that kind of stuff throughout my life, as opposed to some of the characters that you find in the more organised kind of churches and your Protestant, your Catholic kind of things there. Yeah, I like how Bill does it. It's a one-on-one thing. It's a relationship. Call it God, call it the universe. I don't mind what you call it. I don't mind what you're into, as long as you don't mind what we're into. And if you can respect other people's beliefs, and at the same time they respect yours, tell you, most of our differences would dissolve overnight, folks. I'm telling you they would. We've got so much in common, yet for some reason us humans are determined to focus on the smaller differences that are between us. But I think doing this weekly show with Bill, I'm really enjoying it. This is going to be our 5th episode together now. And Warrior Mode, faith, strength, and courage. And I tell you what, he's got a TV show coming up in the near future. Can't talk too much about it because it's not aired yet. But when this is on, I tell you what, folks, I can't wait to see this, because if the way Bill's been kind of building up, and he's not told me anything because he can't talk about it yet, but he says this has got to be one of the best shows he's ever worked on, and that's going to be coming out real soon. So I'll get Bill to tell us all about when we can watch that, etc., when we go live in 20 minutes over on the main channel. Hope to see you all there. Oh, thank you all again so much for the super chats. It means the absolute world. It's keeping the lights on here. We're keeping going. And of course, I'm not finished after Bill today, because Joe Joseph, he has messaged me. He's determined to come and hang out later today. Scotty will be there. Popeye might show up. You never know. It's Sunday. Maybe Spooky Andy we'll roll into the proceedings as well. Really enjoying hearing from him lately, as are all of you. And I love seeing all of you. I love spending time with all of you. We've got something unique here. We've got something good. So please, please, please join me on the main channel from 12 o'clock. The stream is actually set to start at 5 to 12. So say 15 minutes from now, I'll be live with Bill Bean on the Kev Baker Show main channel. And then after that, it will be, not even sure what channel, I'll be telling you on there. Might be over here, might be on the main channel. Who knows? We'll see where we go. But tomorrow, I'm going to be back on the Kev Baker Show as well. And just before I let you go, let me check real quickly, because I know we've got one of our favourite guests coming up real soon. Not tomorrow, but Tuesday night, Nano Girl is going to be on the Kev Baker Show. So please, please, please mark that one in your calendar. And I'll be back for a pre-show stream tomorrow. Extra streams here, there, everywhere. You'll be fed up with me before too long. I'm telling you, folks. You'll be saying that too much, Kev Baker. Need a break from that lunatic in Glasgow. So talking of lunatics in Glasgow, I'll be back with you in about 15 minutes from now. Keep it real. Stay safe. And yes, wild horses couldn't drag Connie G away from it. I tell you, you need wild horses to try and drag me away from you lot. Because you lot rock. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.